Scott Peterson. I own Home Perfect Restoration. Yeah, so a lot of times, a handyman, well, one in California, they can only do a job that's $500, which is labor and materials, and you're typically not going to see any type of restoration project under $500. But also, your typical handyman might not have the right insurance coverages that a restoration company would have. Like pollution insurance would be another one. So if there was dealing with mold remediation and they didn't properly contain the area, or they didn't properly take care of the mold and your house got contaminated, a lot of times your general liability insurance would not cover that. And that's a special insurance that mainly just restoration companies will carry. So restoration companies should really be focusing on extensive education and training in their industry. They should be really the most skilled in their industry, just like you would have a plumber going through all of their schooling, or electrician. There is so many hazards. I would argue there's more hazards in dealing with restoration projects than an electrician would come across, or a plumber, because we're dealing with potential asbestos concerns, mold concerns. You're doing demo and you want to make sure that you're not going to cross-contaminate a home. So a lot of your handyman guys, even just general contractors that don't deal with restoration, they may not know how to properly contain an area or even think about the hazards associated with cross-contamination or getting into their project. Even restoration companies right now, some of them are not properly trained. There's a lot of people that are like, oh, I can go buy fans and a dehumidifier and I could be a restoration company. It's easy. I've seen people do it. They just cut out drywall and then they set up fans and they dry it. And there's so much more to that. I mean, we just went to a job where the restoration company didn't test for asbestos and cut the drywall. Right there is a violation of the regulations that are imposed in our county. They didn't set up proper containment when they were dealing with this mold remediation. And then they said that it's fine and the tenant is able to come back into the property, and she's pregnant and she has little kids. So what happened was they came back in, they weren't feeling well and feeling sick, got a second opinion, and it's already failed the mold clearance test that should have been done in the beginning before any containments came down, if there were containments put up, and before that family was allowed to enter that space. So that particular job is now a huge cross-contamination job, and most likely that company is not going to have the right insurance to cover it, and most of the time your homeowner's insurance won't cover it because it's considered faulty workmanship. So we go through a lot of industry training. So the Institute of Inspection, Cleaning and Restoration certification, which is the IICRC, they hold a bunch of classes and they really hold the standards on how work gets done. I hold a certification for Master Fire Restorer, Master Water Restorer, and Master Cleaner. And that is just where I've attended and passed so many courses on carpet cleaning, tile cleaning, carpet repair, water damage, drying of a home, commercial water damage, health and safety, smoke damage, trauma cleanup. So there's just a mountain of classes that you take to really understand your industry to a whole that will make up that certification. I believe there's only around 1,000 restorers across the country that have that triple master certification, and it's something that we're very proud of here, and we really kind of dedicate our company to training all of our employees. So we send our employees to these IICRC classes too, so they can recognize hazards in the workplace and at someone's home. Like the last thing we want to do is cross-contaminate somebody's home, get somebody sick. I have a child who has significant special needs. I have a wife who has an autoimmune disease, and we run every job as if my family was going to be living in that project. So again, in California, we're seeing a lot of carriers that are starting to pull out of the state for now, and it's getting very hard for people to get insurance or even have affordable insurance. People's rates are skyrocketing, And we're also getting a lot of bad information. There's a lot of wrongful denials, meaning that carriers are denying a claim that should be covered. And I think they're probably doing that because they're non-renewing anyways, or trying to pull out, and they're trying to save as much money as they can. There's some agents are telling homeowners, if you file this claim, you're going to have this $18,000 deductible. This just happened today from a homeowner, which I've never seen or heard of. So there's a lot of bad information out there. And if something doesn't seem right, ask other questions. But this goes back to, don't make insurance your first phone call. Make that your last resort. If you can work with your restoration company and keep costs minimal, you may not have to involve insurance at all. So a big difference between your preferred vendor and your independent contractor, and preferred vendor just meaning somebody that the insurance company is recommending, is really that preferred vendor is working for the insurance company and the independent contractor is working for you. And we tell homeowners this all the time. We got a lot of content on our YouTube page on this. We've had a lot of clients that have had their claim denied wrongfully, and because we don't work for the insurance company and we're not trying to jeopardize a relationship with them, we help the homeowners, guide them in the right direction as far as, hey, this claim probably should be covered, so here's a resource for you. It could be a public adjuster, it could be an attorney, and a lot of times you won't see that with the preferred vendor, because if they start pushing that direction for the homeowner, that could risk that insurance company giving them 20, 30 jobs a month. So I always recommend having somebody that works for you. And one of the best things that I've heard was someone said, never trust the person that owes you money to tell you how much money they owe you. And I thought that was so good. Like, when you're buying a house, you are checking the comps in the neighborhood. You are getting an appraisal done. When you're buying a house, like most people are checking other dealerships, they want to make sure that what they're being told the price is actually a reasonable, accurate price. And I think that relates to insurance. Your insurance company owes you for the damages on a covered claim, but they're also a for-profit company. So just because they tell you it should be, say, $10,000 doesn't mean that that's the right price. You could have a contractor that's telling you it's 20 and insurance is at 10. It doesn't mean that your contractor is taking advantage of the situation or gouging you. So it's always good to get a second, a third, a fourth opinion if need be, to make sure that you are being properly compensated, to make sure that your house is being fixed the right way. So if you discover that you have water damage at your property, the first thing you really need to do is mitigate damages. So if it's safe to do so, stop the water from coming in or stop the water from leaking, whatever's going on. And again, if it's safe to do that, you may have to call a plumber. You definitely want to call a restoration company, and that needs to be a call before you call your insurance company. And I say that because right now, insurance companies are canceling people, dropping people, raising rates, and you can let the insurance company know that you had a water damage, but then not even need them to assist in paying for anything. And just them knowing you had a water damage could allow them to non-renew your policy or raise your insurance rates. So don't even let them know that there's something going on until you know how much it's going to cost, if that claim is potentially going to be covered, and if you even have to go through insurance. So a restoration company is going to be able to guide you based on what category of water it is, meaning, is that water, is it clean? Is it gray water? Is it black water? That's going to determine the scope of work, and then you'll have a good game plan on how to properly remediate that or mitigate damages moving forward.